Before watching any more of this video, please make sure you've watched the first video in this tutorial series explaining the basics of how to create and start your free blog on Chess.com. Now, let's answer the obvious question. What do you get out of becoming a top blogger? Well, first of all, those who are top bloggers on Chess.com are the first blogs you see featured at Chess.com/blog or Chess.com/blogs. Given that we are the world's most active and largest blogging community, getting your blog front and center can be a pretty big advantage, especially if you feel you have something really important to say. The other advantage of becoming a top blogger is that we often headline and socialize top blogs. That means that if you follow us on Twitter or Facebook, you may have seen the hashtag #ChessCommunity. Often we are sharing member content, and just to show you the magical tools that a staff member like myself might have, if I'm viewing any random blog on the site and I decide I like what I see, I have this option right here to headline the blog. Currently on the homepage, you see the Chess Center episode headlined. The moment I click this headline, I have now given Robert Riss, International Master, who wrote about his experience at the Tata Steel Chess Tournament, the front and center spot on the homepage of Chess.com, receiving hundreds of thousands of unique visits every week. So we do our best to help our top bloggers promote themselves, their own services. Often we are much more lenient to help them promote lessons and extended other chess websites. With so many blogs being written every day, we have to have some standards as to who and why and what is featured at Chess.com/blog. That's what this video is about here today, to explain it to you. The first thing you can do is click on the link in the intro to this video here and head over to the article that explains in detail what you want to do when writing content for Chess.com. Many of the guidelines in the How to Become a Top Blogger are actually the guidelines we hold our article contributors to. On that note, one of the other main reasons to become a top blogger is that usually when we're looking for our next big chess stars, those who want to start writing and getting paid for their chess content, we often look into our blogging community and see who is distributing the highest quality chess content. So if you want to write articles for Chess.com, becoming a top blogger is a good place to start. So reading all the details of this article, which I won't do here, you will learn the ins and outs of web readability, a lot of the best practices all over the web, not just on Chess.com, as far as using images well, spacing out your words, making sure that you make a very clear and readable dialogue. And we also have advice on how to use Chess.com's custom tools like the board insertion. So let's see some examples of a top blog. As I mentioned, these image-driven content and readability. Let's see what that might look like. If we head over to my blog and click on one of my regular blogs here, let's look at the one I did on how a chess odd couple beat the world. You'll notice that the paragraphs themselves are never that long, regardless of my sort of fun, tongue-in-cheek writing style that's not designed to be super professional. It's my personal blog. The main point is that the spacing of the content is very similar to what we would want for our articles. So if I head back to the articles, again, this is the highest quality content we have. You'll notice you almost never see what we call a word wall, where a paragraph goes on for 10 sentences. It's very quick and to the point before calling the reader's attention to something else, a chess diagram, a chess picture. There's very rarely an opportunity for the reader to become bored or lost in the world of reading what you've written. That's what we have here in this article by Serper, where he used really a lot of diagrams. That's actually more for him. But even in a tongue-in-cheek style blog, I'm not trying to overkill anything. I'm making it a very easy read, something that sort of flows. Then we talk about the use of images and videos. Often a good blog has not just text, but something that the viewers would enjoy looking at, whether that's pictures of the experience itself. Here we see a great blog that is maintained by my boy, Kostya Kavutsky, showing him and his fellow San Jose hackers in the Pro Chess League. You'll notice he follows the same practices. A phenomenal headlining image that looks good. Great use of how the article or the blog starts, nothing overwhelming to the reader. Chess diagrams inserted with small descriptions on what the viewer might be learning if they went over this game, followed by pictures of the experience and a really nice summary of what people might expect if they continue to follow his blog. That's not just something that Kostya did or something that I did with, here we see another example of a blog. Again, Very, very nice headlining image. If you have some Photoshop skills and want to make your own stuff, that's great. Otherwise, try to use as high a quality image as you can when you're editing and writing your blogs. Balance of pictures and sentences. This is about as long as you would ever see. We kind of have a rule that 6 lines is the max, and that's exactly what I did here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Almost broke the rule. Very rarely will you see anything longer than that before an image comes. And it sounds silly, and of course we live in the world where I'm basically describing how to write for people who don't want to read, but that's exactly what you're doing. Most of the time people are not that interested in reading these days. They want something that grabs them and continues to move them from one experience to another. I believe we can accomplish that really well with the written word following these blogging techniques. Images, describing the story, and keeping them moving. Now, regardless of the rest of the description there, we see that that's not just something I did. It's also something that, here we see another top blogger, Alexander King, kind of doing a similar stuff, blogging about the Pro Chess League. We already talked about International Master Robert Riss's blog, which is great. We showed a quick preview of his Tata Steel experience, which, though this is something that he has full creative control over, he pretty much follows everything we just described exactly. No real massive word walls, pictures, trying to keep the reader flowing, giving them an idea of what the actual experience was like. In the end, if we were to summarize what the biggest things you can do are to become a top blogger, they are, number 1, give something to the readers. Blogging is not an advertisement for either lesson services, group services, another website. Give them something of value and they will give something of value in return, which is probably a follow for you or some comments and engage with you. Give a nice balance between the written word and images. Don't ever create a word wall. Try to avoid images that have nothing to do with the story unless you're writing sort of a funny tongue-in-cheek way like I often do. Keep the focus of the story and the images relatable so that the reader is engaged and continuing to read, regardless of how long the blog is. Finally, space it out. Add diagrams, chess positions. We saw Gregory Serper's example. We saw Kostya Kavutsik's example. A combination of words, chess, videos, giving something that the reader really wants to enjoy and read. And last but not least, make sure you always have a really great headlining image so that if we ever do want to consider headlining your blog to be on the homepage, we don't regret it by going to our homepage and seeing an image that we would never want representing the homepage or index page of the world's largest chess website. This is stuff that we hope you want to follow. Get involved, start blogging on Chess.com, maintain these practices for great web readability, and don't be surprised if before too long you have a lot of followers of your blog, and then it might be easier for you to do advertisements in there. If you're giving readers a value and at the end just mentioning that you give lessons or just mentioning that you do group lessons or other things you'd like to talk about, it's a lot easier for the viewers to appreciate what you're giving them if you're giving them something of value and not just asking them to follow you or subscribe or to pay you for something. That's a very, very useful pro tip if you're open to hearing it. Thank you for watching this video. Please subscribe to our channel. Now I ask you to do that because hopefully I've given you something of value. And make sure you stay tuned to this playlist for more videos on how to use Chess.com.